Yo, we done with that corny Catholic flow, that lukewarm joint is straight ghosted, fam. That cultural Catholic biz, man, that's old news, kicked to the curb. The crusader spirit's wildin', rolling in hella deep. We about to scoop up this whole world for Christ, going full tilt, no frontin'.
Taffy.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Taffy is a legend. What is going on? Dude, I'm nervous tonight. I feel like I forgot how to do this.
How much did you have to drink in Greece?
It was an interesting trip. So for anybody that's new and sees the show title, because I see Matt says he just started listening 2 weeks ago. I see Matt said he just started listening 2 weeks ago, right before I left for Greece. Like, so if you're tuning in because you want to hear the show topic, you guys, if you're listening on the replay, skip ahead. We're not getting to it just yet. Me and Rob haven't spoken in 2 weeks. Rob was ranting like a lunatic in the group chat this morning, so we got a few things to get to. We also do not want to forget to do our ad read. So yeah, it's been a little bit, man.
It has been a while.
I checked out the episode you did with Jason and Mark, though. It was actually a very good episode.
Mark got right into it just so quick. I loved it.
Right off the bat. He was like ready to go. I got cooked in the sun, man. I was interested to see my dark complexion next to your pasty white skin.
Yeah, you definitely look African.
Yeah, you still look transparent.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I actually got a sunburn on Saturday. This is tan.
This is tan
this
Rob.
Is tan Rob.
Yeah, dude, freaking Greece. I went, I was there for 8 days, and I did Italy for 12 days, and then I did Greece for 8 days. When I went to Italy, I was able to like blend in and like pick things up, like pick up language things. I work with Italian guys, I work with Spanish guys. We're Latin at heart, you know, the Romance languages. You go to Greece, I spent 8 days there and still cannot figure out how to say thank you, which is like efcharisto or something like that. And I'm like, I would say it and people looked at me like, what are you trying to say? I don't understand. It's cemented my Latin heritage way further than I thought it would. There was some very cool devotional stuff there that I saw. So like, because there's no separation of church and state, the island of Mykonos can only get power if they would have to build a private chapel and the metropolitan would have to approve of it to get the government to bring power in, and then people could in the surrounding areas break off that power line. Like that's how involved the metropolitan of the area is. It's really interesting. So there's like throughout the island, there are just these tiny little personal chapels that you can't even go in. And what they do is it's like after a family member dies 3 years later, you can put their remains in there or something, and it could just be used as a devotional chapel. So those were scattered throughout the island. There was like these weird, like even at the airport, the customs guy would have like a little holy card to one of the Mount Athos saints, you know, Saint Bezos or something. So there was like
Saint Bezos. They canonized Jeff Bezos, really?
Pizos, maybe. I don't know. I can't pronounce a single Greek word.
Yeah, we knew that. I knew that when I met you in Steubenville, and you were calling them gyros.
I actually argued with every Greek person there about their pronunciation of gyro, and I argued with a few people about them making the sign of the cross backwards.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, they're dyslexic when it comes to devotions.
They do everything backwards. Everything is backwards in Greece. I don't know. It's Pezos. Yeah, it's spelled Pezos or Pezos. I don't know. So yeah, it was a fun trip. I went with the family. We'll have I'll share more in the after show about it. A Euroscope, right? We all know it's not a Euroscope.
That's a callback.
So we'll talk about that on the other side, because there's things that's a more personal family stuff we'll talk about over there. But so
we only make that available to 1,200 people instead of 30,000.
yes, yeah, pretty much. What happened while I was gone?
What happened?
I saw Charlotte went up in flames. Bishop Martin decided to torch the Latin Mass, and then it seems he got. What do you think happened there? Do you think he got a little talking to?
I don't necessarily think it's a coincidence that on the day Leo receives Roche for the very first time in audience is the day that Martin now says he'll, give an extension, when in his letter that priests were supposed to tell everyone an extension wasn't possible. But now suddenly it is on the day that Roche gets called into Leo.
And what's interesting is he said originally it was going to be what, the end of June. That was a wrap. Everything's
July something, and July 2nd. Now it's October 8th.
So yeah, he pushes it off to the October deadline that Traditionis originally said.
Yeah.
And he also says, and if the Vatican makes any adjustments to Traditionis,
why would anyone those. Why would you? That seems weird to just drop in the middle of nowhere, right?
So you think he was allowed to save face?
I think yes. I think that someone from the Vatican called him more or less and told him, this is going to be changing this summer. You can do, you can say that you're going to move it to the original deadline in order to make it, like you said, to save face.
So, because what's interesting is the bishop in his original letter had mentioned podcasts and bloggers, and made it like the reason this was happening was because of podcasts and bloggers. But it seems like podcasters and bloggers and the noise they made and the fuss they made about that decision kind of made enough noise that it got back to Rome.
It's possible.
It was all I was seeing on my Twitter feed. That's kind of Twitter world, but every single Catholic publishing company was talking
it definitely
about
got
it.
outside of Twitter.
Yeah, so it's like it likely got back to Rome. Roche went to meet with Leo today. Now they also made the announcements that all of the dicastery positions will be announced by August.
Yeah.
So I think by August we will have some kind of adjustment to Traditionis.
It wouldn't surprise me if in August we get a new head of the CDW or whatever it's called now, DDW, whatever, and whoever that is releases, a prepared document, either getting rid of TC or limiting it or reinterpreting it, whatever.
I don't think they're getting rid of it. You're not going back to Summorum. I think what will happen is extensions will be granted. That permission will be given for anyone who requests it. Permission will be given because it's essentially what they're saying. If a bishop requests an extension, what is actually happening there is the bishop is saying, "Hey, this is actually functioning well in my diocese. It's not causing any strife in my." It's kind of giving permission back it's giving authority back to the bishops in each diocese to make the decision on their own, which is better than TC, not as good as Summorum. So Summorum gave every single priest the ability to say it. And if you got enough people in your parish to request it, the diocese would actually provide you with a priest. That was Summorum. Which is pretty wild if you think about it.
Not really. It's the Roman Rite.
Yeah, no. I'm saying
the Roman Rite should have the ability to say the Roman Rite, no matter what a bishop thinks.
100%. I'm saying it's pretty wild that, Benedict even removed it from he almost put onus on the bishop to provide it. He didn't. You know what I mean? It was kind of like he said, "Look, if they're requesting this, I want every bishop to give it to them." You know, it was the opposite of Traditionis in a way,
Yeah, for sure.
So it would be amazing if it went back to that. I don't think it's going to, but I do think permission will be granted wherever it's asked. which is good because I think a lot of the diocesan Latin masses, like, I don't think most of the bishops are upset about that. I think for the most part, they are peaceful communities. A lot of them are parishes that say both forms of the mass, and the mutual enrichment thing is nonsense. But I do think it will it'll allow people who have those communities to continue to find because all right, so we'll get into your gripe with a lot of the Byzantine Catholics.
Do we have to?
yeah, I definitely want to, because we saw a Voice of Reason clip where he was going off on the SSPX saying they're schismatic and things like that, and the irony of a Mexican Novus Ordo Catholic escaping to the East because he wants to get away from the Novus Ordo, then coming down on people who are trying to find some way out of the Novus Ordo, so they go to the SSPX and calling them like it is such a bizarre thing to me.
Yeah,
I'm not even knocking Eastern Catholics. Like, if you're an Eastern Catholic and you are going there to escape the Novus Ordo, like, I don't even think that's wrong.
No, it's not wrong, right? Because I would do it if I had the ability.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I'm a Latin Catholic.
Yeah.
The second the Roman Rite is available to me again, I will always fight for the Roman Rite because that's my patrimony. So to be baptized a Latin Catholic, and then to attack Latin Catholics for wanting their patrimony and saying that now you venerate a heretic like Palamas, give me a break. Shut your mouth.
So wait, okay. So what? I don't even know a lot of the inner workings of these different Eastern Catholic groups that were allowed back into communion with Rome. But you're saying some of them get to deny the filioque?
They don't get to deny it. They say they have to say that they believe it, but they get to admit it. They never have to actually say the filioque in the creed. Their creed is different than the creed of the Latin Church.
Yeah.
They just have to say that they believe it. They get to venerate so-called saints like Photius, who, was the cause of the Phocian schism. And yeah, he did reconcile. I won't say he died a schismatic, but he caused a huge schism. They get to venerate Palamas, who many consider an open heretic. The amount of freedom the Eastern Catholics have compared to the freedom that the Roman Church gives us Latin Catholics is incredible.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't have an issue if somebody goes to an Eastern liturgy because they would prefer that over the Novus Ordo because the Novus Ordo is a wreck. My issue is when they then tell you, well, this is why traditionis needed to happen, things like that. Like that,
Right.
those things.
Yeah, the fact that he went to an Eastern parish because it's all he could find open during COVID. Yeah, now he criticizes everyone who went to the SSPX because it's all they could find open during COVID, and calls them schismatic while he venerates an open heretic.
Is that what he says? Is that why he says he's an Eastern Catholic?
I don't know. I don't watch the guy, but I have seen someone say that he said that he went to an Eastern parish for the first time during COVID because it's all he could find open.
Dude,
the hypocrisy is just incredible.
Oh my gosh, that is so insane to me. So we have to read this tweet.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull that up.
You have to pull this tweet up because it's one of the greatest, funniest tweets I've ever read.
Let me find it here. And the fact that it won't ever get promoted because it's a reply to our tweet sucks.
I mean, I tried to get it out there a bit, but
okay, let me make it bigger here.
Yes, we're talking about Voice of Reason, and it's just like to me, and you know who else drives me nuts are the unicorn Novus Ordo people, because they happen to have a Novus Ordo where there's ad orientem, no altar girls, receiving, kneeling, and on the tongue, and it's like they act like that is the norm throughout. Like it is a liturgical wasteland everywhere. So if you happen to find this one parish that celebrates the Novus Ordo like it's at St. John Cantius, it's like good for you. Very happy for you. Real proud of you.
Statistically, it's far more less common than the TLM.
It's just insane. It's like, so most of us have to drive an hour plus to go to mass on Sunday if we want to find something worth going to. So it's, yes. So this is it. So what Matt and Cleveland's saying, it's like, okay, so the Unicorn Novus Ordo may be a little worse in the sense that they think it's everywhere in every diocese. It's not. Like, you cannot find these things. They're nowhere. We don't say the Filioque, we say the original Nicene Constantinople Creed. It's affirmed but not stated. You fraud. How do you look yourself in the mirror? You make me sick.
To be fair, I'm not saying that Eastern Catholics don't actually believe the Filioque.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure many of them do. I'm not saying that.
If I was ever in a position where they did like end the Latin Mass in my diocese, I'd have two choices. It would be the SSPX or the Byzantine Catholic Church. That's fine. Both of those are 5 minutes from me. Like, I have maybe 10 minutes. Like, I have an SSPX that's 10 minutes away. I choose to drive an hour to stay in the diocesan Latin Mass, not because I have a particular opinion of the SSPX. It's more because my wife and kids just like love the parishes that the diocesan is at. But if I had to go Eastern Catholic over the Novus Ordo, I probably would do it, but I would never tell anyone.
You know what would be funny? You'd be the Tolkien of the Eastern parishes. You'd be standing up and you'd be making this huge normal sign of the cross in front of everyone.
I got very uncomfortable with one of our cab drivers when we were talking about the sign of the cross, because my in-laws didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to the guy. I'm like, why do you make the sign of the cross backwards? And like, they thought I was like insulting him. And I'm like, I was just goofing around with the guy. It's not that big of a deal. They were like, why are you insulting his religion? I'm like, I'm not insulting his religion. We're the same religion. What are you talking about?
I'd be like, shut up, Lutheran. You'll know when I make
no
fun
idea.
of someone's religion. Here's the tweet, by the way.
Okay, so be Eastern Rite Catholic from Iraq. Decades of violence decimates your minority demographic. For safety of family, upend life in the homeland and migrate to the U.S. to start anew. Start an Eastern Rite Mass location with other expats of the same tight-knit background. Anglo dude with a name like Frad starts coming here. Hispanic dude with a name like Gerardo starts coming there. They mispronounce your name while showing you their tobacco pipe. Tell you how base this mass of ours is, and they invited their Novus Ordo friends from Lord of the Rings fan club meetup. More Western Europeans, Africans, Latin Americans show up and take your family's usual pew up front like they own the place. It's like these guys are going to the Eastern parish and they're trying to Latinize it. So you're actually losing the beauty of the culture that should belong in the, like, there. Somebody was making it like I was saying this is a cultural thing, like, and it is though, right? So my issue with the guys who go Orthodox, like there's a different thing in going Eastern Catholic and going Orthodox. It's like, I understand the people that go Orthodox go Eastern Catholic because it's like, well, you know, I know what the alternative is. The guys that are going Orthodox, though, it's like, your name is Patrick. You're from Florida.
Yeah, I saw that tweet too.
You're Patrick from Florida. You don't have some deep mystical Eastern spirituality, dude. Stop it. You're Catholic. You're Latin Catholic. Like, you just don't want to go to the Novus Ordo either. So I think everybody's just trying to do their best to find a community where they can live out their faith, where holiness is taught and preached. And that could be an SSPX parish, that could be a Byzantine Catholic parish, that could be a diocesan Latin Mass. Like, that's just kind of the situation we're in right now, because your average Novus Ordo is so upside down right now. It's just not Catholic in the great sense of the word.
No, it's not.
It's like it's like what did you say? I don't want to blow your spot, but it's
What?
like the
What did I say when?
I don't remember when you were saying like this thing wearing the Catholic skin suit.
Oh,
basically, we don't have to go that deep into it, but it's just
fake and gay monstrosity.
LARPing is the Catholic
LARPing
Church,
is the Catholic Church. Yeah.
something like that. You know, it's just that's kind of what your average parish is like. It really is hard to find a good parish.
You know, it's funny. You'll have all these well, most of them are biz larpers, for lack of a better term, going after the SSPX on Twitter and saying that their masses are illicit and you can't go there, and then when like canon law says you can fulfill your obligation at any Catholic rite. Like, so you're arguing that the SSPX saying the traditional Roman rite isn't a Catholic rite, and yet your Novus Ordo Mass with Jewish meal prayers is like.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
Like, if your Novus Ordo Mass is a Catholic rite and you can fulfill your obligation there, then you probably do so doubly so at like an SSPX Mass.
I just think it's like I said, it's like I think everybody has to do what they have to do to get their family to heaven right now.
A New Crusade really wants you to read this.
Thoughts on converts who were
no, I think he really wants the first part.
Oh, and look, I've lost a decent amount of weight. Yes. What's crazy is I gained weight on vacation, and then I came back home and I went right back to fasting as soon as I got home. Like, I ate whatever I wanted on vacation, but I came home and I went right back to fasting when I got home, and I lost everything I gained on vacation and then lost a few more pounds. Like, I'm never going back to eating the way I did. Like, I don't know. I'm trying my best. But what was this question after that? Thank you though.
Oh, just what we're talking about. Brought converts converting to Byzantine Catholicism.
It's bizarre to me too, like, or Orthodoxy even, right? Like, it's strange to me. I'm not saying it's not valid or something. It's strange to me. Like, I went to Greece and I did not fit in there. Like, it was just alien to me. The culture, everything was just so alien to me. When I went to Rome, I felt at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, and people spoke English in Greece. It's not just the language. It was just an alien culture. It would be like, it just felt very different than Rome did. Like, when I went to Rome, I felt at home. It was like embracing our Catholic heritage. It was really awesome. It was one of the most like awe-inspiring trips I'd ever taken, because I got to see the culture that built Western civilization, you know? So it's if
I was gonna say, because Greece was basically outside of Christendom for the last 1,000 years, right?
what we would consider Christendom, yeah.
So it wasn't formed by Christendom the way that Italy was, and that the lands that our ancestors came from, was formed by Christendom.
Yeah. The church in the West and the church in the East developed very differently, and I don't know. I mean, I think that you can fall in love with the Eastern devotions and stuff, but I think like even Bobby goes to an Eastern Catholic parish, but like, if there was an awesome Latin Mass near him, like, he would go to that. I know he would. Like, it's just, you're more at home there as a Westerner. You have to learn different things. It doesn't feel right at first, I would imagine. Like, but I will say this though, like, my first time going to a Latin Mass felt weird, right? Like, I didn't feel at home immediately, but after attending 4 in a row, I felt more at home there than I did back at the Novus Ordo. Like, when I go to a Novus Ordo, I don't feel at home anymore. I feel like I'm in a Protestant service. It feels really strange.
Yeah, never. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it is a Protestant service, but okay.
It just feels like that. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that. It's a Catholic Mass, and it's Jesus is definitely present, and it's definitely a valid Eucharist and all that. So I'm not knocking anybody that goes to it. It's just I did. Like, honestly, Jim, like I'll always have respect for Taylor for throwing that challenge out there, because it changed my whole life, essentially. Like, changed my whole spiritual life, that's for sure. All right, so we could get to Bishop Barron. Did you watch any of it, Rob?
Not a minute.
No, huh?
No, he's like the Catholic Jordan Peterson to me. I can't stand him.
So the thing with Barron is that he's you want to throw a timestamp in so you know where to cut the clip, and we'll throw this up as a clip later. So the thing with Barron,
we need to get to an ad read too, by the way.
You want to do that first, and then we'll jump into Barron?
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah, let's do that. So do you have it available? Because I was totally spacing. It's been a while.
You know, the ad read in
these poor people.
The ad read in the episode without you was the best one we've ever done.
Is it really? I didn't get to that part.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to it until 40 minutes into the show, but it was a good ad read.
I'm going to disagree with you on the spirituality part. It's much the same way people have Benedictine, Franciscan, Carmelite spirituality. I'm very much drawn to apophatic theology. Apophatic? What is it? Bobby, can you throw normal words in here? Theology. And I find myself relating to the mystics more than the manualists. I think I might. I don't have like a Thomistic mind. Like, no. My mind doesn't work like a Thomist. Like, when I talk to Nick sometimes, like, I'm just like, wow, I don't know. He's like, where I do kind of like, I don't know. Whatever. I do kind of like the mystery of the East, which is something I've always, said. But
yeah, but is it only mysterious because it's alien?
No, I like I think. I think it's a good thing that the Latin West, especially through Thomism, like, tried to find the metaphysical reality for every little thing. But I also like to be like, all right, maybe, like, okay, yeah, I have the definition of transubstantiation, but, like, I don't need to comprehend what's actually happening there. Like, I don't need the definition for it. I just know that that's Jesus Christ up there. Like, I kind of like that. Like, when I teach my kids about it, I don't teach them what transubstantiation is. I kind of
not.
Well, it's not that that's not what I mean. They obviously know what transubstantiation is. What I'm saying is, it was more seeing it through the story of the Old Testament, and maybe not fully knowing exactly what's happening there, but like you believe it I don't know. Whatever. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Thomism. I'm not knocking Thomism. I'm saying it's just not how my mind works.
Personally, like, I find it easier to get into the mysteries of the faith through, like, scholasticism, through, like, learning, through like learning the definition of transubstantiation. To me, like, that makes it easier to go deeper into the mystery for me.
Yeah. I think that I don't think that there's anything. I think it's just a different way. It could be a temperament thing. It could be just a way of, like, your mind works too.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like this. That's why, like, I like listening to certain things and you don't. Like, it's just like, it's why you always hate people that I enjoy, and I don't like people that you enjoy. It's just, I think it's just a, it could be a difference in that. Could be a preference.
Yeah,
and taste.
It's just part of the bit for me to hate everyone you like.
Let's be honest. All right, let's do the ad read, then we'll get into Barron, because I actually did listen to the Barron interview, and I see both. I see both takes on it. Like, I do see the good in it, and I also see the critique in it. So it'll be interesting to discuss. You got the ad read?
Yeah, I'm just seeing how long it would take before it became too awkward for you.
It is awkward.
I don't have, like, the ad read. We'll just. So for anyone who doesn't know, we are sponsored by You know, the fact that you all give me crap for how I say this word makes it really hard for me to say this word now. But we're sponsored by Requisite.
Recusant. Are you kidding me? At this point, you still don't know how to say it.
Why do you want me to do the ad read?
Because I thought you were going to give me a little thing to read. But Recusant Sellers, guys, if you go to recusantsellers.com, they are my favorite Catholic company out there. They're the only ones brave enough to sponsor us. They're the only ones. They've never, ever criticized anything we've said. Even when we criticize, like, the people of the Old Covenant, nothing. They're just like, you guys do whatever you want to do. I pronounce
their name wrong every time for the last
Rob
months.
Never gets their name right.
They don't care.
every one of their ad reads are a jumbled mess. That it is. I know we have Father's Day coming up, right?
Yes.
Father's Day is coming up in June. It's a great gift idea. So we'll try to get, like, the next week. We'll see if we could get them to bump it up and get another discount too for Father's Day. But
it's not a bad idea.
Father's Day is coming up. Very great gift idea. If you have a birthday coming up, also a great gift idea. Their wine selection is awesome, and it is very important that we support Catholic family businesses.
And they're also a fruit farm, and the fruit should be getting ripe somewhat soon, I would imagine, with it being June now. So order fruit and wine from them.
Yeah, use the code BASED, BASED, at checkout for 10% off. We love the people over at Recusant Sellers. Even had Molly and Laura went out and visited the actual winery. And she says that the sangria is perfect for hot days. So I'm going to actually order the sangria, because I usually don't like sangria, but it doesn't taste like sangria, like typical sangria. It's like, right. It's a wine blend.
Right. It's not, wine with sugary fruit juice added.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't be mistaken by that. But yeah, go check them out, guys. Recusant Sellers. So, okay. So I mean, we have a clip or two we could play. And are you getting a couple bottles for your teens? We'll talk about the drinking with my...
The thing you said about your daughter, I think that was a text, so I'm not going to say it, but what you said about your daughter was hilarious.
We'll talk about that over on the other side. that's locals. That's locals content. I did look. Well, the thing is, my 18 and 19-year-old are old enough to drink in Greece, so we went out hanging out with my kids, like me and my wife. So we'll talk about that on the other side now. Let me just see if I can actually find.
Did you actually send the?
So I sent the Substack. You sent it also.
I know, but any clips?
Yeah, I have a clip. Hang on. I'll send it now. Give me a sec. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, I know you guys can't stand this.
We came so prepared.
So I had
Paul, you're right. Paul says the drinking should be 15 or 16. If we're ever going to combat the the decline of people drinking alcoholism and smoking weed, we need to get people drinking young. That's why Wisconsin is the greatest state and the drunkest.
Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the clip from me. Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. I'm gonna send it. I'll send it now. Okay. So I had this clip, and then what's his name had a good clip. Trevor at Tridentine. I'll send that one over too. All right, well, let's play Trevor's clip first. I'm gonna send that one over to you.
Be careful. Okay, be careful about putting things in your ear.
Okay, guys. All right, we're good.
Okay, because you don't want to stick it in too far. Let Mama do that. Okay, bye, Iggy. Close the door. Love you.
How's Hope's pregnancy going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well.
Yes. Do we have a closer due date yet, or what? Because I gotta come and hang out with those kids and give him noisy toys and
they don't-
sugary drinks, and
They don't generally just adjust the due date like
No.
all the time. So it's still like August 18th or 19th.
August 18th. All right. Let's play Trevor's clip first, because Trevor said this clip of Bishop Barron on Tucker really brought home the need for the church to clarify its condemnation of usury in the context of a modern market economy. Tucker rightfully hits on usury often in this show and was clearly not fully satisfied with the answer. So let's jump into that clip.
On loaning money to interest, which is the basis of the modern economy in the West.
The church has been against it for time immemorial. Now, the transition that took place was once we kind of understand the dynamics of a market economy better. What it tends to mean now is, loaning at exorbitant interest or loaning in a way that's deeply abusive toward others. It doesn't mean that in itself it's intrinsically evil, because then the capitalist thing.
So how would the church feel about like a credit card that charges 25% interest?
Yeah, it would be wary of it. Would be wary of it. It would want some kind of regulation and some kind of oversight of those things.
Prison.
John Paul II would say the economy needs to be regulated morally and legally. So there should be a moral regulation. And see, that comes from the churches. It comes from a clear teaching about the moral life and care for the poor and so on. But also a legal regulation to some degree. The best statement of it, I think, is John Paul II. It's called Centesimus Annus, written in 1991 on the Centesimus Annus, the 100th year of Rerum Novarum. That's the clearest expression, I think, of the balance of Catholic social teaching. I think this man is signaling that he likes that tradition.
And what did he say about usury?
He didn't talk about usury specifically, but he has a paragraph where he says, do we support the market economy? If by that you mean one that it encourages entrepreneurship, that it is based upon private property, that allows even for a profit motive, and he goes through various things, the answer is yes. If by that you mean one that is completely unregulated, legally or morally, one that exploits the poor, one that excludes most people from participation in it, then the answer is no. And so he kind of sets the parameters for how we think about the economy.
Is that, that feels, I mean, I'm so grateful to the Catholic Church for standing up for life, for opposing killing.
Yeah,
That was, you could tell he really
answer.
didn't know, like the fact that he could only mention a JP2 document from 1990 and not like any of the dozens of Catholic, teachings on usury from before that. Like, if you just don't know the answer, just say you don't know. Like,
there was a point where Barron didn't know the St. Michael prayer.
I've seen that, and I don't know if I can believe that without seeing it.
So the the thing is, Barron is a very post-conciliar guy. Like, all of his upbringing is in post-conciliar stuff. Like, he talks about it all the time, how he's like, we were discouraged from praying the rosary. So the thing is, he's read a lot of philosophy, and he's read a lot of Augustine and things like that. So to me, Barron is one of those guys where if you've seen like a few Barron interviews, you're not getting anything new from this. Like, you're gonna get the same talking points Barron kind of has memorized about philosophy and about, man's quest for God. And he kind of quotes the same points of Augustine, and he'll get into Kant, and he'll talk about von Balthasar.
Okay, but see, it's weird for a Catholic to want to talk about Kant and not, like the medieval scholastics.
Yeah.
It's like he's read just enough to be able to answer the most basic talking points of your average, like, Reddit atheist, and he decided he never needed to go further than that.
So okay, but the thing is, that is who he has been engaging.
I know,
for the past 2 decades that I've been watching him, right? Like, he started off like engaging the new atheist movement online. So that's kind of how he rose to prominence. He did his Catholicism series, but all of even that stuff, like, it's funny that he talks about beige Catholicism all the time, because
he's the definition of it.
He's not that. Look, I don't consider Barron a bad guy. Like, he's not.
No, I'm not saying he is.
He's not a bad guy. Like, Barron is look, he's the only bishop I see willing to get into spaces where conservative Catholics are. Like, I don't, like he really is. Like, you see any other bishop, you think any other bishop in the USCCB would go and sit with Tucker Carlson? Honestly.
Yeah. There's
You
a
do?
couple, maybe a handful at most. Yeah.
Very few. Like, most of those guys think Tucker Carlson is a villain. Barron is willing to sit down with where he sees young men going. So, like, I know you don't like Peterson, but he got castigated for speaking with Jordan Peterson from guys like Mike Lewis and the liberal Catholics. Like, those guys hate Barron, and they hate him. I know he's not a trad. Like, don't think I'm not.
I know.
He's not a trad. Yeah, Strickland would. That's true. Strickland definitely would. I'm not saying he's a trad in any way whatsoever. What I'm saying is he's one of the few bishops I see trying to engage young men, where I see everybody else catering to women. I see Barron is the only one
he's trying to engage
men.
What makes you think he's trying to engage men?
He's going to where men are listening. Like, he's
going
and
then talking about Bob Dylan.
He's so cringe.
Bro, like, well, maybe he's trying, but he's got to be one of the worst at it.
Oh man, this good cop bad cop routine really gets hard sometimes for me. It's easier to play bad cop.
I can see you trying so hard, and then I say something, you're like, yeah.
Easier to play bad cop. All right, so why don't we bring up the Substack? Because the Substack, so I woke up this morning and I read the Substack from crap, I'm forgetting his name. Chris.
Do we
Jackson?
have a clip of him screwing up the St. Michael prayer?
No, if somebody has that, send it over though. I didn't actually see it. I didn't get to that point in the interview, but I saw somebody say it.
If anyone has that clip on Twitter, DM it to me.
You don't follow anybody.
Oh man, JD, no.
Wait, what did he say?
JD says Tobin engages young
Oh,
men.
come on. Okay, so Tucker interviews Barron, baseball, Balthazar, and Bob Dylan.
The Substack,
right.
That's what you're reading from?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull that up.
Let's shout him out too if anybody wants to go and read this. Chris Jackson on Twitter. So there's something mesmerizing about watching Tucker Carlson try to drag God out of the mouth of a company man. That's what his 4-hour plus interview with Bishop Barron felt like, a sustained, almost heroic effort to pull something supernatural out of someone who has spent a lifetime trying to make the faith digestible for a world that doesn't believe. And you could sense Carlson's confusion. He wanted to understand why Christianity triggers such unhinged rage from the secular elite. He wanted to know why the church appears to be collapsing. He wanted to talk about evil, transcendence, and martyrdom. What he got was Bishop Barron explaining how a good coach teaches you to smell the grass. That's not to say Barron's points weren't occasionally interesting. They were. He's not a dumb man. He's read a great deal. He knows how to sprinkle in Hopkins and Aquinas. But what's missing from Barron's performance is what is always missing from his brand of boomer apologetics: the prophetic clarity to name the crisis for what it is and to actually do something about it. Now, this is something that has been a continuous frustration of mine with Barron, even when he was talking to Shia LaBeouf, right? Like when he was talking to Shia LaBeouf and Shia was telling him about the traditional Latin mass, and he's like, why are you attracted to it? Well, because it's like they're not trying to sell me a car. And Barron will then go into talking about how they, beige Catholicism is presented, and there's a de-emphasis on hell, and there's a lack of call to young men to strive for something great. And then he will go and push the von Balthazar stuff, which is the dare we hope hell is empty. So it's like in one sense he understands what the problem is, and in the other he's kind of continuing it. So instead we get the same old trick that has defined Barron's entire ministry: diagnose the disease with great intelligence, then prescribe a placebo. That's a good line. Barron admits that ecclesial liberalism is a reduction of the supernatural to the natural. True, but he says that as if the project he is behind, as if the project is behind us. He says that as if he didn't come up through that system. He says it as if Word on Fire hasn't been ground zero for that same reductionism repackaged in Thomistic drag for the YouTube generation. Wow.
Harsh, but I don't disagree.
Chris, you're a good writer, man. When Carlson asks about the supernatural collapse in the church, Barron blames cultural accommodation, the sexual revolution, and Kant. What he never names is Vatican II, not honestly, not directly. Instead, he insists that Vatican II was a bold missionary council tragically misunderstood by its implements, people like, well, Bishop Barron. This is a tired playbook. Separate the text from the disaster it caused. Blame the fallout on the post-conciliar period. Pretend the modernist theology was not embedded in the council itself, despite every syllable of Gaudium et Spes, Nostra Aetate, and Dignitatis Humanae, crying out to the contrary. Insist it was all meant to be Thomistic outreach and missionary zeal, even though the church had never hemorrhaged vocations or mass attendance on that scale before or since. This is like blaming the Titanic sinking on a post-iceberg development. Oh, man. Barron names Kant, Nietzsche, the Enlightenment, but never Dignitatis Humanae, never Nostra Aetate, and certainly not the de facto demolition of the Roman Rite or the 60-year-long failure to anathematize heresy. Man, this is true. In his telling, the church just got a little too apologetic after the council, not heretical, not disoriented, not infiltrated, just bashful. Barron cannot admit that the modern church is in ruins because it is built on sand. That would indict everything. So instead, he gently mourns the liberal moment and assures us that the supernatural is now making a comeback. Is it because the new pope Barron refuses to critique, just affirmed for all in the words of consecration? I heard that might have been a translation error. So Pope Leo had said the sacrifice is for you and for all. I don't know if that is accurate. That could have been a translation error. But Leo's kind of, we're all getting so excited about Leo. I'm like, man, he hasn't really. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna start that. I'm not gonna be the guy who starts it, but I'm very hopeful that we're gonna get some answers on the Latin Mass soon. But the way Leo is he does seem to be correcting some of Francis's stuff. But like you want to see something a little more bold. Like you want to see somebody come out and just say the truth with clarity, not this timid, Francis was great, we're just going to tweak this little thing here and tweak this little thing here. I don't
think we're ever going to see that from Leo, like just coming out and saying, just repudiating Francis. But if all we get is him coming out and doing little tweaks here and there, that's a lot better than what we could have got.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm it's much better than what we had, like, that's for sure. There's no question that Barron believes in God, but there's a reason his Word on Fire ministry has failed to spark any serious revival. His vision of Catholicism is heavy on intellectual ambiance and light on clarity. It is a church where beauty will save the world as long as you don't look too closely at the felt banners or pantsuited Eucharistic ministers beneath the spaceship ceiling. The spaceship ceiling, I saw it in Rome, dude. Wait, maybe it wasn't Rome. I think it was actually at
it was in.
It's at the Holy House of Loretto, is where it is.
Yeah,
it's at the Holy House of Loretto. There is a spaceship mosaic that has Sputnik. It's just so bad. It was started in the 50s, but completed in the 70s after the council, and it's just so bad. Carlson, to his credit, pushed hard on suffering, evil, and the hatred of Christ in the modern world. He wanted to know why Christians are the most persecuted group on the planet. Barron responded with a powerful insight. The 20th century was really bad, and pivoted into what?
That's such a powerful insight. Yeah, the 20th century was really bad.
Then pivoted into how his little league coach once told him to get on your knees and smell the infield. Somehow this was supposed to illuminate the mystical structure of reality. Look, here's what I'll get. I tried listening to the Barron Tucker interview. Like I did, I really tried to give it a go. it just was kind of boring. Like it was just kind of boring. It was, I heard a lot of the things from Barron that I've heard before. I wanted him to deliver like Catholicism to Tucker Carlson, because Tucker is in a very seeking moment. Like he keeps bringing people on to talk to them about God, and he's looking for someone to just come out and like say something. So like, look, you can't think Barron is going to be Bishop Williamson. Like he's just not, you know,
Right.
where I think Tucker would love to hear from Bishop Williamson, God rest his soul, you know, but it's just Don. Whoa, Barron talk like Barron. How disappointing. He's just a post-conciliar guy, man. He's just is. Mel Gibson did better on JRE than Barron on Tucker.
100%.
Yes and no. Like, okay, so what I think Mel did really well on JRE was the shroud conversation. But you can't talk to a normie about about sedevacantism, dude.
No, I agree with that.
Like you can't do it, you know, like you because they're just going, wait, what? There was smoke, it was black smoke, there was white smoke, then there was black smoke. So wait, you're trying to give the Siri thesis to Jerry. He has no idea about any of this stuff. Well, that's the point, right? So Barron is kind of beige, and that's like I don't think he's a bad guy. Like I don't think he's one of the guys that is like, oh, we have to get Barron out. Like I didn't like when everybody just kind of pushed Barron out. Like he was, look, he said some pretty terrible things. He was on with Ben Shapiro and he was like, well, Jesus is the privileged way. Like come on, you can't do that. Like you can't do that. You just can't. Like there was actually an interesting like a juxtaposition to that conversation when Taylor spoke with what's his name, the black rapper, the crazy freaking
all the black rappers are crazy, man.
No, Bryson Gray.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Taylor spoke with Bryson Gray, and Bryson just asked questions about Catholicism, and Taylor was just like, no, there's no salvation outside the church. Like he just was like blatant about it. He didn't, Yeshua. Like there was something refreshing about that conversation that Taylor had, because it's like, oh, this is what it looks like when somebody presents Catholicism and doesn't hold back and doesn't pretend because there's the tendency, and I do it too. That's why I'm not so harsh on Barron, because in my personal life, when I'm speaking to non-Catholics, like I don't just come out and tell them you're going to hell because you're not Catholic. Like there's ways to nuance the conversation where you're presenting Catholicism as something beautiful and fulfilling without necessarily knocking them. Like the way I go about evangelism is very rarely talking about Jesus. And it's not to say that I don't ever, but it's rare. Like what I try to do is get to more abstract things that everybody can see in the culture and how these things are kind of collapsing because the church no longer teaches things that they used to teach. And there's just ways to go about it. So I'm not, I understand, especially when you're in the moment on a podcast and there are millions of people watching. Like I would imagine it's kind of a lot of pressure to
so much you get the St. Michael prayer wrong.
Well, listen, I can't even knock him for that, because I was on with John Henry Weston 2 weeks ago and I almost forgot the second half of the Hail Mary just because I was put on the spot. It's like, I know. Like sometimes when you're put on the spot, you're just like, oh, like it happens, So like I can see messing up the St. Michael prayer, especially the second half gets a little tedious there. Come on. It's like you're put on the spot in front of a live audience. I could see maybe missing a phrase or two in there. The difference is that if someone asked you if they would go to hell for not being Catholic, you would tell them yes. I don't think Barron would. Yeah, I
Barron lost a lot of trust with that Shapiro interview.
yeah, the Shapiro interview and the Dare We Hope stuff.
Yep.
It's like you can't present Dare We Hope in one sentence and then in the next talk about how, well, the church stopped emphasizing on hell and that is what led to all this stuff. Like there's either a big calling that comes with being Catholic or there's not. And I'll tell you what the main reason so many you do see a lot of Orthodox converts right now is because the Orthodox Church it's a majority men, not just in the hierarchy. Like I understand we have a all male hierarchy, but at the parish level, it's mostly women running the parishes. It's mostly women passing on the faith to their children. Like we're starting to reverse that. We are, especially like our audience, right? Like we're talking to a lot more young men, trying to put the call on men to be the priest in your home and make sure you're the one.
Someone should tell that to Turning Point.
You're not wrong. Like, right? Like the whole young women leadership conference that they're doing and things like that. Like there's something very masculine in the presentation of orthodoxy that is attracting young men. And when you attract young men, those young men then go and convert people and they bring their women with them. But if you have women doing the evangelization in the Catholic end, you're going to get a very feminized version of the faith brought to people.
Which, I mean, yeah. So like growing up and having to go through all the net ministry focus, life teens type stuff, it was all teenage girls.
Yeah.
And it made it just miserable and terrible and so gay.
Well, okay, so we've passed around the videos of like the rock concert Catholic things, right? And I'm like, would you even want to be at this? I'll ask that. And that usually is a very big viral thing that goes around. And it's like, yeah, you'll get a lot of men that say, well, it's not mass, you know, like it's not mass. It's like, okay, it's also not Catholic. Like it's just not Catholic. And it's, even if people do get something beneficial from it, right? Like, so they had the Eucharistic Congress that happened, right? Barron, like one of my biggest criticisms of him was his homily at that Congress, because he goes, if every one of you left here and were on fire for the faith, you could light the world on fire and you could pass that faith on. And it was like, he was saying that under a time when we were being told we aren't allowed to live our faith boldly. Like we're not allowed to go and live our faith. And like, we can't worship God reverently. We were in the midst of traditionis at the time. We were dealing with like all this craziness, and Barron is telling people, go out and do this, and this. And it's like, well, we're being told we're not allowed from the Vatican.
Yep.
So it was kind of strange. But the rock concert thing, it's like, okay, there's a lot of women out there singing and doing their praise and worship thing. And I know there's a lot of very good people in the charismatic movement and they get a lot out of that stuff, but I don't know if you could say that it's good. Like overall, like there's something to just saying, look, we have to cut our losses with a lot of these things and just get back to what grew the church early on. And that was just men living out the faith and men going out and preaching the gospel.
I mean, the charismatic movement coming directly from like communist communes and crazy Protestant like heretics. Like, no, there's no way it can be a good thing overall. God has used it to bring some people into the church, and many charismatics do eventually find tradition. But no, in the end, it's still a crazy heretical movement.
But also, like, what is, because what is the proper role for women who do want to evangelize and shit? Like, there are a lot of women who fall in love with the church and fall in love with Jesus Christ, and they want to go out and evangelize because it's something that happens to you when your heart gets lit on fire for the faith, right? So I don't even know if I know the answer to that. Like, I don't know if I know the proper answer for that. Like young women that act like they have a ministry needs to stop.
Become religious sisters and go teach in schools and orphanages. That's
Yeah.
what they did for centuries.
Yeah.
Think how many kids were without parents were raised in the church by nuns.
I'm kind of okay with this too.
Yeah, I agree.
Like women going to women's conferences and other women, helping each other. And I know there's a lot of messiness at those things.
Yeah, the women's conferences usually end up terrible.
This is a controversial thing too, because I know that's what Tim Gordon said, right? But I mean, you get into the apparitions of Our Lady, and like she's the greatest evangelist in the history of humanity.
But who does she talk to usually?
Young men.
No.
And little children.
Children and women.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. No, but Juan Diego was a man, and it's not. I don't think you. I have a hard time with saying Mary didn't evangelize. Like I know she didn't teach. Like she didn't go out and evangelize when she was alive. She wasn't going out teaching. But the apparitions of Our Lady have led to more conversions. You want your wife listen? No, absolutely not. I don't want my daughters either. No, I don't. Like you. I would never send my daughters to that young women leadership conference ever under any scenario. Like it just wouldn't. No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that. The nuns were the catechists for a long time, weren't they? Like I don't look. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know we're in a different world than we were for centuries when women were doing this thing. Like we're just in a different world now. So I don't know. With technology, the way things are going, I don't know what the correct answer is. I just know we need a much more masculine approach to everything. And I think the reason young men are attracted to the Latin Mass is because there's not women running all over the sanctuary. Everything is very like we got into this with Keith Nestor, and he said it transcends gender. And no, I don't agree with that. There is something very masculine about the Latin Mass. And I think that women are attracted to that. Mm-hmm. Like women want to be led by men, so I think it's allowing women, because I think most of the women, not like leave the liberal church, like parishes aside, most of those women who are extraordinary ministers and things like that, like they're doing it out of a desire to want to serve. They're not doing it because they're not doing it because they want to change things and become women priests. Like that's just not the majority of it. The majority of your Novus Ordo parishes is just women who love their faith, and they're like, oh, how can I help? And they want to help, and the priests encourage it.
I don't know. Growing up, a lot of the women that were involved they're the ones that ruled their homes.
Yeah.
They were very their behavior was very disordered and transgendered in a sense, and they really did seem like they wanted authority. They were going to take it if it wasn't given to them. I think that I'm not going to say that's everyone, but that was growing up. That was a lot of the women that were involved in the local parish.
Yeah, I think that might just be brain rot from feminism. Like I don't know if they're consciously doing it for that. Like I don't know. They're just boss chicks because they grew up in the rot of feminism, and they don't even know they're doing it. A lot of women are like that. Like they're just, I mean, you see it all the time. Like there's nothing worse than the conservative feminist.
Which like is a complete contradiction in terms.
It's a complete contradiction in terms, and it's every woman speaker at that. Bring up that women's speaker list. Do you have it anywhere?
I can find it.
Yeah, find that women's speaker list. Just look at every single woman on there. Like they're the women I have the hardest time with.
I almost tweeted that when I saw that thing. I'm like, oh look, it's every single woman Anthony has no respect for.
They're the most obnoxious, annoying.
The only one that wasn't on there was Lauren Boebert.
Don't worry, give them time. They'll add her. I've never liked learning anything about the faith from women. Rob's changing Anthony quick. No, listen.
Who said that? Oh,
I'm the misogynist in the group here, and I'm trying to play good cop tonight. It's just
some of the things we were tweeting today.
I can't argue with like,
oh, I can see you're going to be bad cop tonight. I'm like, isn't that what you want? He goes, absolutely.
Oh, I should really play the voicemail. I think you might have cursed in one of them, so I can't. But I should just play the voicemails.
There was a lot of cursing in those messages this morning. See if I can make this bigger. Can I zoom in on this? No,
Rob was furious this morning.
So Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, I don't know who a lot of them are. Erica
Brett
Kirk is just
Cooper.
Charlie Kirk's wife. Alina Habba.
Leela Rose.
Wait. Alina Habba is Trump's lawyer, who just looks like she is like an OnlyFans chick. She's running around in a bikini. Brett Cooper. Oh my gosh. Lila Rose, Dana Lash, Riley Gaines, the legit man. Allie Stuckey might be the most obnoxious, annoying woman on the planet. Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is on there. I'm sorry,
Silly
Allie.
beat by the next
I didn't mean to give her. I have to take the title from you. Nala Ray. How is this a real conference? How is this a real conference? I don't think I know anybody else. I don't know any of these broads.
Yeah.
I don't know any of those broads, but it's just none. I wish we had somebody we could trust as a spy to go in there and listen to some of the feminist insanity that they're going to spew.
Yeah, we don't, do we?
The only Molly, the only group these women should go to do is silent retreats.
She is more misogynistic than we are.
That's why she watches our show. We're trying to find this clip. Right here. We're trying to find this clip. So if anybody can find that clip for us, we want to see it. I should go there as a speaker.
Hold on.
Sort of Impractical Jokers.
Okay. We do have, someone did send it.
All right, let's watch the clip. I made it an hour into the Barron interview.
So it's literally, you were about a minute away.
Oh,
it's at 1 hour and 45 seconds.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just under an hour into it, and I just started watching Outdoor Boys. I'm like, I can't.
I really did get you into that.
I am obsessed with the Outdoor Boys. Like, obsessed with the Outdoor Boys.
But the only Mormon I've ever been able to stand.
He is the man, dude. Like, he's so, like, I wish I had a dad that took me to do the things he takes his kids to do. Like, it is, if you guys never seen the Outdoor Boys, like, I just came upon him because I saw he put the video out that he's not doing videos anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just went back, and I love survival stuff. Like, my favorite show ever is Alone.
They're Mormon, Paul.
Yeah, he's more, but he doesn't.
No, it doesn't come into the show at all.
In any way whatsoever.
Other than on their family trips every Sunday, they do show them, like, they turn off the cameras, like, we're going to church now. But that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I love the winter survival stuff. Like, I love watching him get through like a -20 night with no tent. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, I'm gonna freaking survive for a night in -20. But anyway, all right, let's do the Barron clip.
Okay, let me
who's Jerry Metaxas? I know Eric Metaxas. Oh, that's Metaxas. I don't know who Jerry Metaxas is.
Cool forces or cultural
agree more.
Forces.
I've come to this conclusion recently, but I think you're exactly right. So what?
Mind by a wicked mind that wanted to undermine the church. But then now look at the whole 20th century and the level of destruction and degradation. It's hard for me to imagine it's just because of political forces or cultural.
Agree more.
Forces.
I've come to this conclusion recently, but I think you're exactly right. So what's the St. Michael's prayer that was?
St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. I won't get it exactly right, but it's an invocation of St. Michael to defend us in battle against the devil who sends his minions for the destruction of souls. So it's a very conscious awareness of the presence of evil in the world.
I guess that's...
look, I get being on the spot, but he should have known way more than that. Come on. The thing is,
that's not as bad as people seem to make it out to be.
well, like I said, I've been on shows where like, especially like the Hail Mary in Latin, like if you're saying the Ave Maria, and it's like you're just put on the spot in the moment. And you're like,
so like
it's just
like growing up, right, in the church, in like in our Fatima Cadet stuff, every year we did a living rosary,
yeah,
where every kid is one bead, and you go through the kids saying, and they each say whatever their prayer is, and like I prayed the rosary daily growing up. Like I had every single standard Catholic prayer memorized by like the age of 8.
yeah.
To this day, put on the spot, like to say the
You'll
Hail
forget
Mary.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
I
brain just gone.
yeah, it's Sancta Maria Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Stop it. I know it. I'm just telling you, when you put
That
on the
was the
spot,
second
it's
half.
not.
What
Yeah.
about the first half?
Oh, stop it. I said when the second half comes to you. That's why I only said the second half. No, it was bad. You're right. It was pretty bad. But the thing is, it's bad to us because we go to the Latin Mass. So I hear the St. Michael prayer every Sunday. Like it's embedded in us, where Bishop Barron doesn't say the St. Michael prayer. Not regularly.
If he's saying the rosary daily, he should be.
He's not, though. He said he's never had, like, he prays the daily office. Like, I don't think he prays the rosary daily. He prays the daily office. Like, he's a priest. Priests have to pray the daily office.
Yeah.
Like, they have to. So, like, really, the rosary is the laity's daily office, essentially.
Yes.
Right. So it's like a priest isn't going to pray it the way we pray it. But and I skip the St. Michael's prayer a lot when I do the rosary too. Like when I pray the rosary, I don't always say the St. Michael's prayer. I don't. I'll get through, once I get through that last decade,
You say the Hail Holy Queen, right?
Hail Holy Queen, and yeah, but that's usually, I'll usually end it. Like especially if I'm doing it on my way into work, it's like, we don't add the St. Michael prayer to our rosary. Is that a thing?
It's
I've
not
used so many guys' rosaries, it's not normally there.
Part of the rosary, but I've never, in any public rosary I've ever been in, I've never heard it not said.
Yeah, but like I said, when I pray my rosary daily, I don't always say the St. Michael prayer.
Don, shut your mouth.
He's right. Rob's a modernist. He's adding the St. Michael prayer to the rosary. Everybody calling you out, Rob.
I knew it was coming too.
It's very common, but it's not part of the rosary. Yeah.
Was that interview in Charlotte? He may have been respecting local customs.
But that's what I was just about to say. Like the Charlotte bishop actually was going to ban the saying of the St. Michael prayer. So like there are some Novus Ordo parishes that are very traditional, and they say the St. Michael prayer at the end of Mass. There are a lot of there are a lot of traditional parishes, they say the rosary before Mass, right? So like you'll say the rosary before Mass, and then you'll say the St. Michael prayer at the end of Mass. There's a lot of good traditional Novus Ordo parishes that will do that, and he was trying to ban that there. He's trying to ban kneeling for communion. He was trying to, like, crazy things this guy was going to do.
I did not see anything with the Charlotte SSPX. So I don't know what this is referring to.
No, me neither. Yeah, Supers did ban it. I do, yes, Barron does believe in the devil. So all right, so the other thing I wanted to just go over was Kale's tweet. So Kale just said, I'm 2/3 through Bishop Barron's combo with Tucker. It's wonderful. It's a teacher being asked by a curious man about why he believes what he believes and how he believes. It is witness in its purest form. If it triggers you, log off and go in a quiet room for 10 minutes because you've let ideology pollute your seeing and hearing. Barron understands the assignment. He is reaching an audience of millions through Tucker. while first talking to the man himself. So I see that point of view also. And like I said, it's one of those things where I do appreciate Barron going in and having these conversations in these places that aren't typically having them. So I do like that he went and spoke with Jordan Peterson. I do like that he had Shia LaBeouf on. I do like that he had the conversation with Tucker. But Kale, yes. Yes, I mean, Kale, you're a bit of a boomer, man. He's a bit of a boomer, guys. Like, look, I gotta have friends of all ages, guys. I just, it's all right. I Barron is like especially for a guy like Kale. I'll explain this to you guys. So, for those of you who are recent converts or converted in the last 10 years, it's the same thing. The same kind of hero that JP2 was and Benedict was. Barron was in that mix. Barron was very much in that lighthouse Catholic media world. He was, I know Kale's not a boomer. He's Gen X. Don's a boomer. So Bishop Barron, when he came out with that Catholicism series, he was very much seen as like a super Orthodox priest. Like he was Father Barron back then. He wasn't Bishop Barron back then. And he was just seen as a very Orthodox priest trying to present the faith. He was seen on the same level as like Father Mike Schmitz and Scott Hahn. He was very much in the mix with all those guys. So for these guys, like Barron will always hold a special place for them. Like, yeah, but you have to, all right, so current celebrity normie Catholic, like that was your catechesis for years in the late like the 90s and 2000s. You got your catechesis through Scott Hahn, Jeff Cavins, freaking, what's his name? Who's the guy with the cowboy hat? Not Jimmy Aiken, the other guy, Stephen Ray. Steve Ray. Like you got your catechesis from these guys. These were the Protestant converts who came in. They were convinced of the Catholic faith, and they actually explained the Catholic faith better than any of your cradle Catholics were at the time. Like they were still so caught up in the council stuff. And like you had these Protestants come in and they actually talked about like what made Catholicism unique, where most of the Catholic hierarchy were talking about how we're just like everybody else. So, Barron is a cradle Catholic, obviously, but he was very much in the mix with all of those lighthouse Catholic media guys. So I think he'll always hold a special place to a lot of people. Like, and he was one of the first ones to get out on the YouTube world and actually go and confront these new atheist types and things like that. So I understand people's attachment to him. I understand people's affinity for him. I just think we're in a different era than we were back in the 90s and 2000s. And I think that young men are looking for something a little more bold at the moment. So that's our Barron Tucker take. We're going to go over to the other side now, and we're going to talk about some other stuff. I do have quite a few stories that could lead to very good discussions. Let me just see. Was there anything else we were supposed to cover? No, we'll do it on the other side either way. So, all right, guys, if you are not Locals members, please join us over there. Subscribe to our Locals. It's very cheap. It's the best way to support our show. Whoa, we got 1,200 people in here. How many people are? We got 550 on YouTube. You guys better all hit like and share this show. It's about time you guys made us the biggest Catholic channel. Come on, stop it. If you're not going to subscribe on Locals, at least share the show. It helps. Tell people about us. They all came from
otherwise you're all just stuck with all the bizlarpers that on YouTube.
I'll tell you, man, I find it difficult to listen to a lot of things these days. Like I've really just decided I'm watching Outdoor Boys. Like I'm just like, I'm kind of done listening to a lot of I don't know. I like doing this. I like our show. I like what we talk about, but
yeah, I don't watch other Catholic content at all.
I do. I still do, but it's getting rare. So I think what we're gonna do, I want to ask Hitchborn to come back on because before I left, I was on Joe McLean's show with him, and we were talking about some stuff over there, and I was like, "You'll be my first guest when I get back from Greece. We'll have you on." So Rob and I did our show tonight. I think we're gonna get Hitchborn on Thursday if he's available, and then we got to figure out when we're bringing Nick back on because everybody seems to be missing Nick. And yes, we have to get Theo on. But that's going to be a scheduling issue because he's in the UK.
Theo from
the Two Cities podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to have to figure that one out. I'll have to reach out. It might have to be a Saturday show.
Yeah.
So we'll figure that out. All right, guys, come over to Locals. We'll see you on the other side. Take us out, Rob. Or just kill the feed.
Yeah, I'm just going to kill the feed.